Oh hi. Toledo, the city in the central part of Spain, the capital of the province of Toledo and autonomous community of Castilla-La Mancha. It is located to the southwest from Madrid on the river of Tajo and is the center of the archbishopric. The population in 2007 made 78618 inhabitants. In 1986 the historic town of Toledo was included in the UNESCO World Cultural Heritage List. The fortresses built during an era of Celtiber were the first constant settlements in the territory of the city. In 192 BB Roman Mark Fulvi Nobilia broke the desperate resistance of the tribe of Carpatan living here and Talton based an outpost. Thanks to deposits of iron ore near the city of Toledo, it turned into the significant settlement minting own coins. Excavation of magnificent country houses of the time testifies to a deep Romanization of the settlement, which had the aqueduct by today completely destroyed. After the first attacks of barbarians, antique walls were strengthened. In 411 the city was quickly occupied Alana. In 418 it passed to Visigoths and remained their capital till 711. During this time Toledo became the center of the Catholic archbishopric. In the Middle Ages the Toledo archbishops had own army and took part in Reconquista and in other military operations of the Spanish kings. Moors won the capital of the state of Visigoths in 712. Toledo, blossoming under the name of Tulitola, fell on time of their board. Alphonse VI Kastilski won the city on May 25, 1085. By this time Toledo became famous for the swords and other products from steel. Toledo became one of residences of kings of Castile and remained here till 1561 until Philip II transferred the residence to 71 came to Madrid, lying exactly in the center of the Iberian Peninsula and approximately at identical distance from all ports. Toledo remained the religious center. On July 20, 1936 about 1,000 supporters of Franco with several hundred civilians, including women and children, were locked behind fortress walls. Against them the heavy artillery and aircraft was used, but cadets of military college under command of the Colonel Moscardo within 70 days defended Alcazar from Republicans before approach of forces of nationalists. During fights the colonel's son, taken by Republicans hostage, was shot and the building was destroyed, except for the southern wall. From now on the slogan of nationalists became, Alcazar doesn't give up. The suitable connections of the General Varela rejected troops of the Republicans consisting of anarchists and Marxists, raised a siege and cruelly dealt shortly with urban population. During rule of Franco the history of the country was stated unilaterally. In the subsequent time the military museum giving an idea of the taken place events was created here. Sites. The historic center of Toledo represents integral ensemble and touched time of the medieval town with a labyrinth of narrow cobbled streets and a large number of architectural monuments, among which the Cathedral Saint of Maria, constructed in the 13th-15th centuries. Fortress Toledo. The Museum of Sephardic Jews located in Del Transito Synagogue. The 14th century. The former Synagogue of Santa Maria la Blanca. The 12th century. The oldest synagogue in Europe which reached our days. Ruins of the Roman amphitheater and Roman aqueduct. San Servando Castle. The 14th century. The former Mosque of Del Cristo of Deal Allahs built in 999–1000. Museum Hospital Santa Cruz, 16th century. The Franciscan Monastery San Juan of de los Reyes in style of the Burning Gothic style, 1477–1504. The Cistercian Monastery of Santo Domingo el Antigua founded in 1085. Tavera Hospital, 1541–1603. Church Santo Tom with Burial de Colla Morgasa, 1586. El Greco's Museum with collection of paintings of the artist. San Roman Church of construction of the 13th century with the Museum of Vestgotsky culture. Baroque Church of San Ildefonso, the 18th century. The Monastery Saint of Ursula in style, the 14th century. Santiago de Arabal's Church. In style. Reconstructed in the 13th century from the mosque of the 12th century. From old fortress in Toledo fortifications, 8 gate and 2 bridges remained up to now. Fortress arose in a bend of the river of Tahoe, which steep coast provided to the city natural protection from the south. The most powerful protective constructions of fortress were from time immemorial built from north side. The first fortifications of which we know something were constructed by Romans. The Roman walls began from the hill on which nowadays costs, further went in the direction of Church Santo Tom and, crossing location of the cathedral, returned to an alcazar. Later Vestgotsky fortifications had big extent and were much more better strengthened. They also began from an alcazar, then went to the gate Puerta Cantos located near Alcantara Bridge, from there, to the present Museum Santa Cruz and further to gate Puerta del Cambron. From their walls proceeded along the river bank back to gate Puerta Cantos. Construction of this powerful strengthened line was carried out at the initiative of the Vestgotsky king Vambi. To this day it is possible to see his fortification and more than 100 towers on barefaced the river, the site between St. Martin and Alcantara's bridges. Late strengthening of the walls of the city destroyed by wars and time was carried out by the Arab conquerors, and after them, and the King Alfonso VI, who in addition strengthened protection on the site between Alcantara Bridge and Biseg's Gate. The best known gate of Fortress of Toledo or Biseg's Gate. A new gate of Biseg. They found the current shape in the middle of the 16th century. Gate represent a peculiar mini-fortress or a citadel. 2 are formed of 4 of her walls, external and internal. Turn to the city. My gate. Powerful cylindrical towers of an external part of gate are constructed still by Arabs and frame the central part of a facade topped with the huge 2-headed eagle who is cut out from a stone. The part of gate turned to the city has 2 square towers in section with the pyramidal roof styled white green, which are also forming the Habsburg 2-headed eagle. About Alfonso VI's gate. Other than an old gate of Biseg, is known a little. They are dated back to the beginning the 9th centuries and since then weren't reconstructed. It is known that under the arches of these gate on May 25, 1085 at the head of the army there passed the King Alfonso VI. The gate which reached our days Puerta del Cambron were reconstructed in style de Renaissance in 1576 from old Visigotsky gate of times of the King Vambi. They received the name by the name of the prickly bushes which were once surrounding with their violent thickets.
Gate consists of two parts, each of which is on top with a tiled two towers.
On the party turned to the city together with Philip II's coat of arms, Saint Lacadia's statue of work of a
Barragit, the saint, esteemed in Toledo since those times when the city was the capital of the Vestgotsky kingdom, is placed. The inside of gate is decorated with Toledo coat of arms. Puerta del Sol Gate. The Gate of the Sun located near Bisigh's Gate are constructed in the 12th century, and then reconstructed at the beginning of the 14th century. They represent two well-strengthened gear towers, round and square in the section on which the main arch leans. The lancet arch with a graceful bricklaying of the arches finds the Arab influence.
In the center of a facade among an architrave, the small sculptural composition representing two female figures with a tray on which the human head lies is visible.
Believe that this composition represents two young girls raped by the Toledo city's mayor, whose head was cut off by the king in punishment for this act. Later the sculpture's caution was placed on City Gate. On a capstone of the second arch on a triangular marble board, the relief with the image of a scene from Saint Ildefonso's life is located. Over a relief on a red background, the sun and the moon are represented. Probably, the image of the sun gave the name to gate, though it is impossible to exclude that their name is connected with orientation of gate in the western direction. One more gate, most likely, which are a part of fortress of Visigoth, Gate Puerta de Valmartin. They are located in several tens meters from Puerta del Sol Gate near the former mosque of Del Cristo of de Lalas. Gate Puerta de dos Acantos. Are located near Puerta de Alcantara Bridge and an Alcazar. Originally they were a part of the strengthened line of Visigoths. There are two hypotheses of origin of their name. On one of them it is considered that the first gate were constructed on 12 those columns, cantos. On another belief that the present name was formed from earlier Puerta de dos Canas. Cano, a water jet, indicating the reservoir existing at the time of Romans filled through the Roman aqueduct from which 12 channels for water supply of the city departed.
The remains of the Roman aqueduct are still distinguishable on both sides of the river of Tahoe.
In a northern part of a fortification, between Alcantara Bridge and Bisigh's Gate, less known New Gate are located, and directly opposite to Alcantara Bridge there are 8th Gate of fortress of the same name of Toledo. These gates were a serious obstacle for the enemy besieging fortress. To pass through them, it was necessary to beat out not one, but two doors divided by the small inside patio, which sizes didn't allow to develop a ram and two-strike blow at full capacity. Till the 13th century the only bridge conducting to the city was Alcantara Bridge. The first construction on the place of the modern bridge was built by Mus in 866 in only several meters from the old Roman bridge, which date of construction is unknown. This bridge was unlucky and it was swept away by a flood of 1257. Sledyashi Bridge was built at the Castilian King Alfonso X and he remained up to now. The bridge has two arch flights, under main and the most beautiful of which the river of Tahoe flows. On both sides of the bridge in the 10th–11th century two towers were built. It is known of several reconstruction of the bridge. In 1484 the internal arch of the bridge was restored. In 1721 the external tower underwent changes, and the bridge was restored in 1786. The name of the bridge happens from the Arab Labal meaning an arch or the bridge.
Aviatoga Martina Bridge was built in the 13th century and restored in 14 after the central bridge span was destroyed during war between Pedro Agestosi and his stepbrother Enrique.
The bridge has 5 flights. The graceful arch of the central flight is framed from each party in a couple of narrower arches. On both sides of the bridge there are gate tower, the latest of which is dated the 16th century. On an internal tower of the bridge the granite bas-relief with a municipal coat of arms is placed, on external the small statue of the Archbishop Street. Julian is established. Famous persons. El Greco lived since 1577 to the death in 1614 in Toledo and created numerous masterpieces here, including Burial de Colomorgasa in Church Santo Tom. Maria of Jesus, in the world Maria Lopez de Rivas, blissful the Roman Catholic Church, the nun Ordina Bossac Carmelitic. The mystic, the bearer of stigmat. In 1577 I entered St. Joseph's Monastery to Toledo in which I was active before the death which came in 1640. The Spanish architect of the 16th century and Pedro Machuc's artist Mannerist was born in Toledo. Toledo, the large center of tourism. It is connected to Madrid the high-speed railroad, by electric train and the highway. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.